Now, this sounds really simple, but there's so many brands in the UK that get it wrong, let alone people from abroad. So, is it plant-based, low sugar, high protein, what this sustainability credentials, all these things need to be easily readable on the packaging, okay?
Sure.
And a lot of the time people make that mistake. There's so much noise out there. People usually go on a shopping mission with a shopping list and go, mum or dad will go to the supermarket. They know 80% of what they want. They buy every week. And so you need to be able to disrupt them. So one thing about packaging, I think is always important is when you're looking at it, basic things like the color, for example, will it stand out as an individual SKU? And how does it look as maybe if you had 3 SKUs on shelf, are they all the same color? Will they stand out amongst everyone else? Do you know what I mean? So it needs to be able to jump out. And when you come to look at people in the UK and a lot of the UK brands, I think in the last 10 years, the design on packaging can be fantastic. So if you look at a lot of the beer brands over here, they've got some fantastic graphics. Yeah. But it's almost become the norm. So everyone looks fantastic on shelf, and you can't decipher who's who and what's what. So a clear message on packaging is really needed over here.
Hi Charlie, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
All well. Thank you so much. Wish you a very happy new year.
Yeah, you too. You too. How's your new year been?
It has been phenomenal and off to a great start this year. So let's see.
Fantastic. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on this show today. Really appreciate your time.
Nice. No problems. I'm looking forward to it. It's good to have a conversation. See what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Hi viewers, good morning. Welcome to the new episode of Sustainable Future Food Talk. Today we have with us Charlie Platt from the United Kingdom. Charlie is a commercial consultant and contractor that supports food brands and manufacturers with either their commercial strategy or procurement projects for the UK market. He has over 20 years of commercial experience in a number of industries. However, the majority of his time has been spent working in the UK food industry and has gained invaluable experience working across a variety of projects for investors, brands, food manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, food service operators, and development kitchens. From an international brand's perspective, looking to launch into the UK, he generally acts as their UK representative as a general manager, which can involve sales and operations setup, or solely as a strategic commercial advisor responsible for building commercial plans and initial implementation. So, I mean, great profile, Charlie. Really, thank you so much once again for joining in.
Absolutely not a problem. Not a problem.
Awesome.
I'm, really interested to see and learn more about the group and find out more about the organization and just be involved really. And if I can help people, I will.
Sure. That sounds great. So, I mean, Charlie, if you have been in the retail, wholesale and food service business for more than 2 decades now. So what are some of those key criteria a buyer would consider while reviewing a brand?
Okay, so it's a fairly broad question, but let's tackle it. Obviously, if you're coming from outside of the UK, coming into the UK, what applies to your country probably applies to us in a lot of respects. They want to know your company setup, your brand story, the category understanding, i.e., do you understand what's going on in the category in the UK? And obviously your numbers, so commercial numbers, but also your unit size, pallet size, case size, etc. And obviously the customer demand, what demand is there for your product or your service? I know that's very general, but if we look at a couple of the key criteria, which are I think is most important, and that would be, say, commercials. So know your numbers in front of a buyer in the UK. If you don't know your basic numbers, know your margins, know what margins you could possibly offer them, know your launch plan, i.e. your financial numbers behind promotional launch, then, it might not be the first question you get asked, but you definitely need to be able to easily roll off your tongue and explain who you are and what you are. Okay. Because if you don't have that credibility from the word go, I think it probably knocks your chances, if that makes sense. Okay. So from a commercial point of view, commercial figures, what is your retail price? What margins can they achieve? And, what expectation volume would they expect? Okay, they know what they need, but, they want to feel confident in what you're saying. Right. They probably look at, are there a number of lines similar? Oh, sorry, are there a number of lines with similar products in the category? Where does it sit? Is it a premium? Is it a mid-range or cheaper line? Can you financially support, as I said, the new listing? And given an understanding of your commercials for the first 12 weeks, then 6 months to 12 months for that first year. I would say from a supplier point of view, they want to know exactly who you are. So, is the product coming from existing suppliers? The first question they always ask themselves. Obviously, if it's from outside, probably not. But so are they confident that you'll be able to support them and launch with success? Technical standards. This is pretty important for a lot of retailers, or for everyone really, is, what accreditations do you have? So BRC over here in the UK is the British Retail Consortium, set up in '96, which is food safety standards, which is really key. So there are international equivalents, but you need to obviously research that, because if your manufacturing comes from a unethical place, you're not sourcing ethically, you've not supplied, the labor, should we say, is you're not treating your staff well, etc. Looking at carbon footprint, all these practices are important to especially the big guys in the UK, which everyone wants to get involved with. I would probably then say, from a product or packaging point of view, obviously your product is really obvious. Taste, texture needs to be good, but what is your USPs? Is it low in fat, low in sugar? Is it a premium, or is it a craft product? Is it on trend? But category fit, I would say, is does the product create any duplication within their range? So you're presenting to Sainsbury's, they're going to firstly look and say, well, why do I need two of you when I've already, I've got one burger? Why do I need another plant-based burger? That type of thing. Is the product sold anywhere else? So it might not be sold anywhere else in the UK, but you can then take examples of how it's performing in your country, i.e. the rate of sale, to show them that there is a demand. And again, it's how you operate, i.e. you've clearly demonstrated that you can supply into a retail setting, even if it isn't in the UK arena yet. Right. Does the product then obviously fit in the current market insight and in the market trends in the UK? So obviously you'll do your research there. And on the packaging side, does it stand out on shelf, or will it just get lost amongst all the other things out there, type thing? So where do you fit? So I think those commercial, the supplier story, and a little bit about the product and the packaging is always going to be the initial questions, and then you'll get consumer. What's your consumer think about it? And then what about your supply chain is probably really important from an international supply point of view. Kind of, what's your route to market? Does it match up with their preferred supplier route to market? All those type of things, from sustainability, low sugar, etc., etc. I'll ramble too much. It's a broad question, my friend.
Yeah. No, I think, but you have given a pretty detailed answer, so really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Yeah. So coming down.
People shorter.
Yeah. So coming down to my next question, what is the importance of product packaging for customers, and what should be the key highlights on the packaging?
Listen, I kind of touched on it in the last question, but does the brand stand out? Is it easily identifiable? Does it convey the key attributes? I.e., why is someone going to buy it? Now, this sounds really simple, but there's so many brands in the UK that get it wrong, let alone people from abroad. So, is it plant-based, low sugar, high protein, what this sustainability credentials? All these things need to be easily readable on the packaging, okay?
Sure.
And a lot of the time people make that mistake. There's so much noise out there. People usually go on a shopping mission with a shopping list and go, mum or dad will go to the supermarket. They know 80% of what they want. They buy it every week. And so you need to be able to disrupt them. So one thing about packaging, I think, is always important is when you're looking at it, basic things like the color, for example, will it stand out as an individual SKU? And how does it look as maybe if you had 3 SKUs on shelf, are they all the same color? Will they stand out amongst everyone else? Do you know what I mean? So it needs to be able to jump out. And when you come to look at people in the UK and a lot of the UK brands, I think in the last 10 years, the design on packaging can be fantastic. So if you look at a lot of the beer brands over here, they've got some fantastic graphics. Yeah. But it's almost become the norm. So everyone looks fantastic on shelf, and you can't decipher who's who and what's what. So a clear message on packaging is really needed over here.
Sure. Awesome. Great. So coming down to my next question, with your extensive experience of procurement, what tips do you have for a growing brand having, of course, a promising product portfolio and wishes to enter an international market?
I think realistically, you need to look at each country you want to enter and try and gain as much information about that country as possible. Obviously, that sounds fairly obvious. But it's not just the commercial insight, but also the legal, the labeling, import regulations, the warehousing, credentials, pack size, pallets, basic things, pack size. Are you going to be able to fit on shelf? It might be different from France to the UK to the US. Best bet is to really go and speak to someone. And I'm not just speak to me, but speak to someone that's used to working in that country, understands it, and can give you the full picture. I think it's a product. Look at the competitors. Is your product a cultural fit? Is there demand for it? You just need to understand the country and what it's offering in each category, and then you can benchmark yourself against that. Probably the best way of doing that.
Okay, awesome, great. So, of course, retailers are an important aspect in the overall supply chain. So how do retailers monitor, improve, and develop categories through innovations and maybe private labels?
I think really, from a monitoring point of view, they monitor internal and external software, and everyone has their own version of their internal software, generally speaking. So they understand what's in their warehouses, in store volumes, their sales movement, so they can tell on a weekly basis how things are moving. Same everywhere, but they buy category data in, so on trends and insights. So Kantar, IRI, Mintel, they speak with category leaders like Unilevers of this world. So they'll speak to the big boys that will share information. They create their own data for Tesco's over here. We have a Tesco's Club Card, which essentially is a discount card. And this helps them monitor the basket spend per person. And it tells them what's on average the basket spend is and what type of products are going in the average basket.
Sure.
Also, they work with industry professionals like development chefs to obviously understand kind of the trends and any innovation that's coming from other parts of the UK food scene as well. So what might be coming from a restaurant, can they go into the retail setting, that type of thing. So they work with a lot of people using the data. As mentioned, buyers look at innovation to help them steer the direction of their plans, but
Sure.
it comes down to practically what's going to sell. Buyers are driven by making money as much as being innovative. Regards to private label, most retailers will use innovation or brand innovations to assess the private label possibilities.
Right.
That way that they can offer a wider price range. So, premium product, a mid-tier product, and a baseline product, which opens up to people with different budgets, essentially. They also use the data to see what kind of new brands are doing well. So it's a great way of looking at new product launches and seeing the innovation, how it hits the ground and gives them a future plans. But I think that's how they use their data and innovation.
Awesome. Coming
Does that make sense, buddy?
Question for this session. So of course, Charlie, you have spent more than 2 decades in the UK market. So how do you foresee the changing food landscape in the UK market with the penetration of plant-based foods?
Okay, so the landscape, very broad question, but in the short term, so the next year, 2 years, we'll see a lot more publicity, a greater number of brands being brought into the market, and this will reach right across a lot of different categories in the UK. It's Veganuary now, so it's booming. If you go on the social media sites, you're seeing another version of a cheese, a drink, a beer, a crisp, or etc. There's lots of innovation going on, and that will continue over the next 2 years. Investment here is going crazy, and it's not only the traditional investing groups, but you get the PR celebrity machine is also people investing from all sides of things. So you get to see a lot of social media is always popping up with Cardi B is investing in a milk brand or cream brand. I heard the other day. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about Cardi B. All I know is she's got a vegan cream brand coming out. In the midterm, the UK market will gain a greater, more established plant-based market. So it will be larger offerings in the aisles, with a lot of larger brands either producing their own vegan products or likely to buy up some of the more successful smaller brands to add to their portfolio. And that's probably what a lot of startups are hoping will happen, so they can make some money. Long term, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to pan up, but if you think about Gen Z and millennials and how, as they age and have their own families, you're seeing automatically feeding their children vegan, plant-based, vegetarian diet rather than the traditional meat diet, or should we say, or a mix of. So it's going to be, these children are going to grow up and a vegan diet potentially is just the norm. So that's what they like. That's what they're used to.
Yeah.
So we're talking long term here, but in the next 20 years, that's obviously what's going to happen. I think technology will play a big part as technology improves across the board. I think it's easier to produce. Supply and demand will increase. Things will become cheaper. And so they'll be able to reach a wider audience as well. I think tech is going to be a big player in that. And one thing that could alter the plant-based projection as we know it a little bit is, I would say, probably the genetically grown foods that have promised a lot over probably the last 5 years. If you read any of the trade journals, they're always growing bits of meat in a little petri dish. But if they get their act together and they can produce it, commercially produce it, right, I think that's where we'll see, genetically grown meats as a potential game changer in the future. Not sure when, but yeah, I think the issues we're going to have in the next, 10 years is going to be how healthy are these products, vegan or not? Not all of them are healthy, and there'll be a big piece on education. So I think that's kind of short, medium, and long term what's going to happen in the UK and probably globally. I mean,
yes, you're right. So these were really invaluable insights from your side, and thank you so much for these detailed responses. I'm sure these would be really useful for the viewers. So
I hope so. Listen, if anyone in the group wants to have a chat, just send me a message. I don't mind having a chat with anyone about it. That's not a problem.
That's super useful. Thank you so much, Charlie, once again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day ahead.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.